My name is Ade Daramy. I'm a Sierra Leonean. I'm a broadcaster, journalist, formerly worked at the Cabinet Office as a policy advisor. Nothing to do with Ebola. It was on data protection. And I'm not sure it's relevant in this, except to give you a bit of a background about myself. Regarding Ebola, well, I'm always scared to give the figures because every time you give something, the figures change. But as this week we passed the dreaded 3,000 mark, and over 6,500 people have been affected in the region. And of course, the death and sickness is happening in a place where the healthcare systems are pretty broken, or in some cases almost non-existent. And so it's made dealing with the outbreak quite challenging, and of course the contamination is snowballing. Even the Americans have become interested. Barack Obama has sent troops to Liberia. And somebody sent me on WhatsApp today some pictures of some of the troops arriving in Liberia. He sent 3,000. And they were saying he sent them to West Africa. I said, no, he's actually sent them only to Liberia. In the UK, I think DFID are leading, and the UK is very much taking a coordinating role in the drive against Ebola in Sierra Leone. You may have heard about the £100 million mission to contain and control the outbreak. IMF has approved $130 million for the countries most hit by the outbreak. And of course, the military and financial response has been stepped up in recent weeks, but I guess the question we ask is that going to be enough to destroy Ebola? And what more can be done to make sure that the predictions, which are really scary, that 500,000 could be infected by January, what can we do to make sure those don't come true? And also, are we learning a lesson from this crisis to make sure the international community is better prepared for the next epidemic? And because I think the reaction this time has been criticized as being slow. So that's kind of setting the scene for what we're going to be discussing. And next to me on my right and on my left, I have some of the leading figures in Ebola response. And I have to say I'm particularly delighted that Mr. David Nabarro, the UN Special Envoy on Ebola, has been able to join us virtually from Geneva for the start of the event. But before we get into that, I would like to introduce and hand over to Kevin Watkins, who's the ODI's Executive Director, for a few opening remarks. So please welcome Mr. Kevin Watkins.